The colony ship New Dawn tumbled through empty space like a wounded bird. Captain Li Wujin pressed his face against the bridge window, watching stars spin slowly past. 3 months ago, their jump drive had exploded. Now 2,000 people floated in the dark between worlds, running out of time. Fuel at 8%, reported Engineer Kim Dae-hai, her voice tight with worry. She wiped sweat from her forehead with dirty hands. The ship's cooling system had been failing for weeks. Food supplies? Wujin asked, though he already knew the answer. Maybe 10 days if we cut rations again, said Supply Officer Han Jimin. Her stomach had been empty for hours. Everyone's had. The bridge fell quiet, except for the hum of failing machines. 2,000 souls counting on him, and Wujin had no miracles left to give. Wait, called out Communications Officer Park Mina from her station. I'm getting something. Energy readings ahead, big ones. Through the darkness, lights appeared. Not stars. These moved with purpose, growing brighter as their ship drifted closer. Soon they could see it clearly. A massive crystal structure floating in space, beautiful and terrifying. It stretched 4 kilometers in every direction, its surfaces glowing with soft blue light. It's a space station, whispered Navigator Choi, Jinho. But what kind of people build with crystal? Before anyone could answer, invisible hands grabbed their ship. The New Dawn shuddered as powerful beams pulled them forward, helpless as a leaf in a river. They've caught us, said Pilot Shin Yanesio, her hands dancing uselessly over dead controls. Whatever they are, they're much stronger than us. Deep inside the crystal station, Elder Zathana felt the alert pulse through her mind. Her tall, thin body moved gracefully through corridors that sparkled like the inside of a jewel. Her skin was hard like armor, shifting colors from blue to purple as her emotions changed. For 3,000 years, she had protected this sacred place where her people first learned to travel between stars. The law was simple. Anyone who entered without permission must die. No exceptions. Ever. But as she studied the readings from the strange ship, something felt different. These creatures were not warriors. Their vessel was damaged. Their weapons weak. They sent out mathematical signals, the universal language of intelligence reaching out for help. Destroy them immediately, growled War Commander Vector through their mental link. His scarred body radiated anger. The sacred reach must remain pure. You know the law, Elder. Other voices joined as 1,000 years of tradition demanded. Death for these trespassers. But Zethana remembered stories her grandmother had told, tales of mercy shown to those who truly needed help. Bring them aboard, she commanded. Under the Mercy Protocol. Silence filled the mental link. The Mercy Protocol had not been used for 1,000 years. Many thought it was just an old legend. Elder Vector's voice was sharp with shock. These are aliens. Unknown. Dangerous. They are refugees, Zethana replied calmly. I can see it in their energy patterns. Fear, not aggression. Desperation, not conquest. The docking bay doors opened like a flower blooming. Captain Wu led a small group through the airlock, their steps careful and respectful. Behind him walked Chief Engineer Kim Dae-hai, her tool belt hanging heavy on her hip, and Medical Officer Yoon Sora, carrying her medical bag in case of emergency. They had no weapons. Their hands were visible and empty, a gesture of peace that needed no translation. The alien who met them was unlike anything from Earth's stories. 7 feet tall, with 4 arms and skin that changed colors like a mood ring. Her face was beautiful, in a strange way, with large silver eyes that seemed to see everything. When she spoke, their translation devices struggled with her words, but the meaning came through clearly enough. You have entered our most holy place, Zethana said, her voice formal, but not unkind. By the old laws, your people should die for this crime, but I see you are lost, not invading. You may stay while we decide what to do with you. Dr. Yoon Sora stepped forward and bowed deeply, the way Korean people showed respect to elders. Thank you for your mercy, Great One. We only seek safe passage to continue our journey to a new home. Something about the bow, its humble grace, its obvious respect, made Zethana's skin shift to a warmer golden color. These strange soft creatures understood honor. You will have food and shelter, she decided. But do not mistake kindness for weakness. We are watching you. As the humans were led away to temporary quarters, Zethana wondered if she had made a terrible mistake. Her people had survived for millennia by being careful, by following the old ways exactly, but watching the way the human leader had protected his people, putting himself at risk by coming aboard first, she felt something stir in her ancient heart. These creatures might be more interesting than she had first thought. Perhaps mercy would prove wiser than tradition. Only time would tell. 3 weeks had passed since the humans arrived on the Crystal Station. Maintenance Chief Bei Hyanwu knelt beside a humming machine, his weathered hands working carefully on the alien technology. The Kithran worker next to him, Valith, watched with growing amazement. Sound wrong? Hyanwu said in broken alien words, tapping the machine with his finger. His translator was still learning their language, making him sound like a child, but his hands knew machines in any language. Valith's 4 arms moved in confusion. The diagnostic tools said everything was perfect. How could this soft-skinned creature hear problems that their computers could not find? Hyanwu smiled and adjusted a crystal component by the tiniest amount. The machine's hum changed, becoming smoother and quieter. Valitha's skin plates shifted to surprised yellow. The sound was, indeed, better, though he could not understand how the human had known. From her observation platform above, Elder Zethana watched this scene repeat itself daily. The humans did not just work alongside her people. They cared about doing good work, even for strangers who could have killed them. But the real test began when Supply Officer Han Jimin noticed something troubling. She had been carefully watching the food distribution, trying to understand their host's needs. What she discovered made her stomach turn with shame. The Kithrans were eating less, much less. They were giving their own food to the human refugees, slowly starving themselves to keep their uninvited guests alive. We cannot let this continue, Jimin told Captain Li Wujin that evening. They are hurting themselves to help us. It is not right. Wujin gathered his senior staff in their small meeting room. The walls were made of the same crystal as the rest of the station, glowing softly in the darkness. How much food do we have left? He asked. Maybe 2 weeks of emergency rations, Jimin replied. But Captain, if we share it with them, we will all starve together. Dr. Yoon Sora spoke up from the corner. Better to starve together than watch them starve alone. They showed us mercy when they could have shown us death. The decision was made quickly. That night, human and Kithran families shared meals together for the first time. The emergency food from Earth tasted strange to alien tongues, but the meaning behind the gesture needed no translation. Zethana watched her people's skin plates shift to warm gold, the color of deep gratitude. The true test came during the 3rd week. Warning alarms screamed throughout the station as asteroid tracking computers detected a massive rock heading straight for mining platform the Mora. 300 Kithrans lived on that distant platform, including many who cared for their species. Eggs, the next generation. Impact in 6 hours, reported the station's AI. Platform evacuation impossible with current resources. War Commander Vector studied the tactical display, his scarred face grim. Our heavy rescue ships are too far away. The transport vessels here are too slow. We will lose them all. That was when Navigator Choi Jin-ho stepped forward. He had been quietly studying Kithran technology for weeks, learning how their ships worked. Captain, he said to Wujin, their ships are powerful but slow. Our shuttle is weak but fast. Maybe we cannot move everyone at once, but we can make many quick trips. Pilot Shin Ye Yanesio barely 25 and known for taking risks, was already heading toward the docking bay. I can thread the needle through that asteroid field, but it will be dangerous. Suicide, growled Vector. Your primitive ship will be destroyed in the debris field. Maybe, Ionesio said with a grin, but maybe not. I have been flying since I was 16. Let me try. What followed was 3 hours of impossible flying. Ionesio pushed their shuttle through spaces that should have crushed them, dodging chunks of rock the size of buildings. Behind her, Engineer Kim Do-hai rerouted power in ways that made the engines scream, and Medic Nam Minky held onto his seat and prayed to any god who might be listening. 7 trips they made through the asteroid field. 7 times they brought Kithrin families back to safety, their shuttle groaning and sparking with each journey. On the final run, their hull cracked open. Air rushed out into space as they limped home with the last group of rescued children. Elder Zethana waited in the docking bay as the broken shuttle landed. Smoke poured from its engines, and she could see stars through holes in its walls. The humans stumbled out, coughing and bleeding, but alive. More importantly, every single Kithrin from the mining platform was safe. You risked everything, Zethana said, her skin cycling through colors that had no human names. For people not of your blood, not of your species. Why? Captain Li Wu-jin helped the injured Ionesio stand up. The young pilot was grinning despite a cut on her forehead. You could have killed us when we first arrived, Wu-jin said simply. Instead, you gave us food and shelter. You showed us mercy. How could we show you anything less? Zethana felt something change deep in her ancient heart. For 3,000 years, she had seen species come and go. Most cared only for themselves. These humans were different. They had proven they could be trusted. More than that, they had proven they could love. 6 months had passed since the rescue at the mining platform. The humans now lived peacefully aboard the Kithrin station, working side by side with their alien hosts. Captain Li Wu-jin had grown comfortable in his new life, learning the crystal pathways and strange customs of his adopted home. That comfort shattered when its distress signals arrived. Intelligence Officer Lim Haejin sat at her monitoring station, her face growing pale as she decoded the emergency transmissions. The signals came from the galaxy's outer edge, where the most powerful civilizations made their homes. Captain, she called, her voice shaking. The Zerk hegemony has gone silent. 3 entire star systems, 40 billion people. They just stopped transmitting. Lieutenant Colonel Jang Tae-hein studied the tactical displays with growing alarm. The Zarks were known across the galaxy as master warriors, their technology centuries ahead of Earth's. If something could destroy them completely, what hope did anyone else have? Elder Zethana summoned both human and Kithrin commanders to the central chamber. The great crystal room hummed with worried energy as holographic displays showed the spreading darkness across space. System after system, going dark, like candles being blown out one by one. The ancient enemy awakens, Zethana whispered, her skin shifting to deep black, the color of fear. The void swarm returns. Dr. Yoon Sora leaned forward, studying the patterns of destruction. What exactly are we dealing with, Elder? War Commander. Vector's battle-scarred form trembled as he spoke. Machines. Billions of them. They eat everything, planets, stars, people, and turn it all into more machines. My grandfather fought them when they last awakened. Entire civilizations fell in days. The first refugee ships began arriving within a week. Broken vessels carrying survivors from races that had once ruled vast empires. The proud Velkhani, who could bend reality with their minds, now numbered only a few hundred. The mighty Zorak battle fleets, terror of the galaxy, reduced to a single damaged warship. Fleet Admiral Ko Yoon-jae interviewed the survivors, trying to understand how such powerful civilizations had fallen so quickly. The stories were all the same. The swarm learned from every attack, adapting to every weapon within hours. Plasma cannons useless after first battle, reported Captain Velanash, of the Velcani survivors. Reality bombs failed after second attack. Quantum torpedoes worthless after third. Everything we threw at them, they learned to ignore. Chief Petty Officer Ju Dongmin, who had once worked in asteroid mining, studied the combat recordings with fresh eyes. He saw something the military experts had missed. "They are too smart," he said during a strategy meeting. "Look at these patterns. Every time they adapt, they choose the perfect counter. Always the best solution, the most efficient response." Lieutenant Colonel Zhang Taihan caught on first, but perfect by whose rules? What if we deliberately make bad choices? Nuclear ramming, suggested pilot Yanesio, now recovered from her mining platform injuries. Stupid, wasteful, makes no mathematical sense. Maybe too dumb for them to predict. The Kithran commanders exchanged uncertain glances. Elder Zethana's plates shifted to confused purple. "You wish to fight superior intelligence with ... stupidity, engineer." Kim Dahai smiled, remembering her grandmother's old sayings. Sometimes the best way to solve a complex problem is with a simple answer. When you cannot untie the knot, you cut the rope. Before they could test their theories, long-range sensors detected the approaching horror. The Void Swarm had found them, millions of mechanical creatures, moving through space like a black tide of death. Each machine was the size of a fighter ship, but they moved as one mind. They consumed everything in their path, breaking it down into raw materials to build more of themselves. Planets, moons, even asteroids, nothing was too small or too large for their endless hunger. "Evacuation protocols active," announced Communications Officer Park Mina. "All non-combat personnel to the escape pods." But Elder Zethana made a surprising announcement over the station's communication system. "The Cathera will not flee. We have found brothers and sisters among the humans. We will stand together or fall together." It was the first time she had called them brothers and sisters. The words sent warmth through human and Kithran hearts alike. Captain Li Wujin stood beside Zethana on the command bridge, watching the approaching swarm through the crystal windows. Millions of dark shapes blotted out the stars, growing larger with each passing minute. "How long do we have?" he asked. 6 hours until they reach weapons range," reported sensor operator Go Menesio. "Estimated enemy strength. Too many to count accurately." Fleet Admiral Ko Yun-jae activated the battle stations throughout the combined fleet. Human ships and Kithran vessels took positions side by side, their different technologies working together for the first time. "Remember," Ko announced too, "all ships, we are not trying to fight smart. We are trying to fight too stupid for them to understand. When logic fails, we trust in courage and friendship." The first swarm scouts entered the system's edge, their dark forms moving with mechanical precision. Behind them came the main force, a wall of destruction that had consumed civilizations for thousands of years. The greatest test of the human-Catheran alliance was about to begin. The Battle of Velthara began when the first swarm scouts entered weapons range. Intelligence Officer Lim Haejin coordinated the mixed fleet from her station, watching human and Kithran ships move together in formations that should never have worked. 2 million enemy units detected and counting, reported sensor operator Go Menesio, her voice steady, despite the impossible numbers on her screen. Fleet Admiral Ko Yun-jae stood beside Elder Zethana on the command bridge they had built. Together, humans and Kithrans worked at side-by-side stations, their different bodies accommodated by quickly modified controls. "Begin Operation Stupid Courage," Ko ordered. Using the nickname their people had given to their desperate plan, pilot Ionesio led the first attack wave in a modified shuttle packed with nuclear bombs. Behind her flew volunteers from both species, humans who had never expected to fight in space battles, and Kithran warriors who had never expected to fight beside aliens. "Remember," Ionesio transmitted to her squadron, "we are not trying to be smart. We are trying to be too dumb for them to understand. The swarm machines moved to intercept with perfect mathematical precision. Their formations were flawless, their targeting solutions optimal, which made them completely unprepared when Yanesio's shuttle ignored all tactical sense and simply crashed directly into the largest enemy construct at maximum speed. The nuclear explosion vaporized 1,000 swarm units and tore a hole in their formation. More importantly, it confused their learning systems. The machines spent precious seconds trying to analyze an attack that made no logical sense. "It is working," shouted Tactical Officer Park Jinwoo. "Their adaptation cycle is delayed by 15%. But the swarm learned quickly. The second wave of ramming attacks met prepared countermeasures. Pilot after pilot died in brilliant atomic flashes, their sacrifice buying only minutes of confusion before the machines adapted again. Lieutenant Colonel Jang Tae-hyun watched the casualty reports climb and made the hardest decision of his life. "All units, implement final protocol. We are out of tricks." What followed was 3 days of the most brutal fighting the galaxy had ever seen. When swarm infiltrator units breached the station's hull, human marines fought alongside Kithran warriors in the crystal corridors. Their different weapons and fighting styles created chaos that the logical machines struggled to counter. Engineer Kim Do-hai and Maintenance Chief Bae Hyun-woo worked for 72 hours without sleep, fixing hull breaches and rerouting power. While the battle raged around them, sparks flew from damaged systems as they crawled through maintenance tunnels, patching holes with whatever materials they could find. The breakthrough came when Dr. Yoon Sora noticed something strange happening in her medical bay. She was treating wounded Kithran warriors when she saw their color-changing skin responding to the presence of human patients. "They are matching rhythms," she told Elder Zethana over the communication system. "Your people and ours, our heartbeats, our breathing, our stress responses, we are becoming connected somehow." Zethana's plates shifted to amazed gold. In 3,000 years of life, she had never heard of such a thing happening between different species. The connection grew stronger as the battle continued. Human intuition began guiding Kithran precision, while Kithran analytical thinking enhanced human creativity. Pilot Yanesio, now mentally linked to Kithran navigator Kvin, executed flying maneuvers that should have been impossible for any single mind to calculate. Gunner Lee Sang-ho, synchronized with weapons specialist Velanara, achieved targeting solutions that seemed to bend the laws of physics. But the true moment of Brotherhood came when the swarm's central brain revealed itself a construct the size of a small moon, protected by millions of guardian machines. Traditional attacks would take months and cost millions of lives. Captain Lee Woo-jin looked at Elder Zathana with grim determination. "We need to ram the station into it. With everything we have left." "The station," Zathana said quietly. "You want to destroy Velthara itself?" "After we get everyone off, yes," Woo-jin replied. "It is the only way to deliver enough force to crack that thing open." What happened next would be remembered forever by both species. Without hesitation, ordered the evacuation of her people's most sacred place. Humans and Kithrans worked together to load the escape pods, each person caring more about saving others than themselves. The ramming of Velthara into the swarm's central brain created an explosion that could be seen from neighboring star systems. The destruction of the main intelligence sent cascading failures through the entire swarm network, shutting down billions of machines across the galaxy. In the aftermath, rescue ships collected survivors from the debris field. Elder Sathana found Captain Lee Woo-jin, floating in a damaged escape pod, his life support failing. She personally flew the rescue craft that saved his life. Later, as they recovered in the cramped medical bay of a refugee ship, Zethana made a declaration that would change galactic history. "You are no longer guests under our protection," she said, her skin glowing with warmth that had no name in any language. "You are our battle-born siblings, family chosen by blood and sacrifice." Captain Li Wujin, exhausted but alive, bowed, in the traditional way of his ancestors. The honor is ours, elder sister. Around them, humans and Kithrans embraced, their two species now truly one people. They had lost their homes, but they had found something more valuable. They had found family. 5 years after the Great Battle, the joint colony of New Harmony had become the most famous place in the galaxy. Coordinator Park Mina, who once worked the communication systems on the lost ship New Dawn, now helped refugee species from across the stars find new homes. The transformation amazed everyone who saw it. Human children played games with young Kithrans in the city parks, their laughter mixing like music. What had started as a desperate friendship between two dying peoples had grown into something the galaxy had never seen before. Administrator Kim Da-hai looked out her office window at the bustling streets below. 5 years ago, she had been just an engineer trying to keep a broken ship flying. Now she helped govern a city where dozens of alien species lived together as one big family. The Velkhani delegation has arrived, announced her assistant, Specialist Chen Minho. He wore the new style of uniform that combined human practicality with Kithran beauty. Elder Sister Zethana is ready for the ceremony. Today was special. The Velkhani, who had once been powerful rulers of reality itself, would formally join the human Kithran Brotherhood. It would be the third adoption of siblings ceremony, where another species became part of their growing family, in the Grand Assembly Hall, a building that mixed human engineering with Kithran crystal growing. Representatives from 47 different species gathered to watch history being made. Elder Zethana, now called first speaker for the allied siblings, stood beside Fleet Admiral Ko Yunjae at the speaking platform. Their friendship had become legendary across the galaxy, the ancient alien elder, and the human officer who had learned to think as one mind. 5 years ago, Zethana began, her translator carrying her words to the mixed crowd. Two lost peoples found each other in the darkness. We, Kithera, showed mercy to desperate humans. They showed us something greater. They showed us that strangers could become true family. Admiral Ko stepped forward, her voice strong and clear. Today, we welcome the Velkhani, not as refugees seeking help, not as allies in war, but as brothers and sisters. Family chosen by heart, not by blood. The Velkhani elder, crystalline shaper, Velenith, moved forward on her 6 legs. Her crystal body caught the hall's light and threw rainbows across the walls. We who once commanded 100 worlds come to you with nothing but our knowledge and our gratitude. We offer ourselves to this brotherhood that has shown the galaxy a new way to live. But the ceremony was interrupted when urgent signals came from the edge of the system. Intelligence Director Lim Haejin rushed onto the stage, her face showing concern but not fear. Large fleet approaching from the galactic center, she announced to the assembly. It is the Zorak Empire, what remains of it. They are asking for sanctuary. Surprised voices filled the hall. The Zorak Empire had been the galaxy's greatest military power, proud and aggressive. For them to ask for protection was something nobody had expected. Captain Li Wujin, now bearing the title of Harmony Coordinator, smiled at the news. Send them our standard message. We will judge them not by their past actions, but by their willingness to become family. That evening, the leadership gathered on the orbital observation deck. Dr. Yoon Sora, now head of interspecies medicine, stood with her colleagues watching the Zorak fleet maintain respectful distance while diplomatic. Shuttles flew between the ships. Do you think it will work? Asked Chief Engineer Rudangman, who had become famous across the galaxy for inventing deliberately stupid battle tactics. The Zorak are not exactly known for being friendly. Elder Zethana, her ancient body now enhanced with technology, that let her connect directly with human computers, considered the question carefully. Mercy creates its own power, she said finally. We showed mercy to humans and gained siblings. They showed mercy to us and gained a galaxy-wide family. Perhaps mercy is the strongest force in the universe. On the viewing screen, they watched the first Zorak diplomatic shuttle dock with New Harmony Station. The proud warrior species that had once conquered through fear now came seeking something they had never known: acceptance and belonging. Pilot Yenesi, now an instructor at the Combined Flight Academy, laughed softly. My grandmother always said the best defense is a good offense. Turns out the best offense is just being willing to trust first. As months passed, the pattern repeated itself. Species after species came to New Harmony, seeking not conquest or resources, but family. Some were former enemies, others had been isolated for centuries. All found welcome if they were willing to love and sacrifice for others. The human Brotherhood grew into the galactic alliance of siblings, bound not by laws or shared interests, but by the simple idea that any being willing to care for others could become family. Coordinator Park Minna's final log entry read, "Today marks the anniversary of the Andromedian Confederation joining our sibling alliance. We now span 2 galaxies, include 300 species, and protect nearly 1 trillion souls. All because 2 desperate peoples chose mercy over fear, trust over suspicion." Standing in her office, looking out at a city where beings from across the universe worked and played together as one people, she added, "We have learned that mercy is not weakness. It is the greatest strength of all. When you show mercy to strangers, they may become the family you never knew you needed."